I didn't do anything wrong, but the fact that you guys are doing this to me and he's the man in this situation, I'm gonna comply. I am. I'm not gonna argue with you at all. But you have me on camera, but at the same time, what he has on camera, I have my phone, show something different. So if I need to show that,
you know what I'm saying? I feel like it was just a sucky situation all around. Like, I don't feel as if like she should have been arrested. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you know, people have discussions and emotions and stuff like that. And she has like things that she need to work on for herself, of course. And so do I, so do you, so do you.
Like in the video, they are in the middle of an airport and he is visibly trying to walk away and she's like pushing him and like hitting him in the middle of a fucking airport in broad daylight. Like, as someone that's quite literally afraid to even record myself in public,
Sha'Carri Richardson has never been a stranger to controversy, but this time the spotlight isn't on her speed, her style, or even her outspoken personality. It's on her credibility. And the person pulling the curtain back? None other than comedian Corey Holcomb, who went live on his podcast and ripped her entire narrative apart in front of thousands. What he said, and the evidence he pointed to, has the internet in chaos. Corey didn't mince words. He said what many had only whispered, that Sha'Carri has been manipulating her image, flipping the victim card, and weaponizing her role as a woman to escape accountability. He didn't frame it as gossip. He framed it as fact, and then pointed to receipts that made it impossible to ignore.
Yes, I do. My name is Sha'Carri Richardson. I do have my ID. Yeah, but I will definitely leave him alone. There's nothing that I want to do with him anymore. Like I said, it was a relationship thing. I needed to get my stuff out of his bag.
The flashpoint in all this was her relationship with fellow sprinter Christian Coleman. For years, the two were seen as the sport's golden couple. She was fiery and loud. He was calm and disciplined. On the surface, they were opposites that balanced each other out. But behind closed doors, it was a different story. According to Corey, Sha'Carri wasn't the victim she claimed to be. In fact, he accused her of being the aggressor and said she even tried to weaponize the system against Coleman when things got heated. And then came the video. The leaked airport footage didn't lie. Sha'Carri could be seen pushing and swinging at Coleman while he tried to disengage. His body language told the whole story. He wasn't surprised. He wasn't fighting back. He was just frozen. Shoulders slumped, head down, the posture of someone who had been through this before. And when the police arrived, that's when the performance began. Sha'Carri instantly shifted gears, claiming it was just an argument, then flipping into victim mode the second she realized she might be the one in cuffs. She called Coleman a coward, accused him of setting her up, and even said he had put hands on her, all while the video showed the opposite. This is what Corey was furious about. On his podcast, he said flat out that Sha'Carri knew exactly how the system worked. She knew if she played the victim, Coleman would be the one in trouble. And Corey didn't stop there. He connected it to a personal story about his own son, who ended up with a domestic violence charge after being set up in a toxic relationship. For Corey, this wasn't just about Sha'Carri. It was about exposing a pattern of behavior that ruins men's lives. But what shook fans even more was Christian Coleman's response after the footage leaked. Instead of standing up for himself, he defended her. In interviews, he said she didn't deserve punishment, that she needed grace, mercy, and time to heal. His words painted her as someone struggling who deserved compassion, not condemnation. But viewers weren't convinced. His tired expression, monotone delivery, and lack of eye contact made it seem like he was reading from a script. Fans said he looked broken, drained, and possibly pressured into protecting her. Meanwhile, Sha'Carri tried to clean up the mess with apology attempts that only made things worse. Her first video, barely a minute long, had her smiling as she talked about reflecting and taking accountability. Fans didn't buy it. They said it looked like a performance, not remorse. Corey shredded it on air, laughing at how insincere it came across. He called it Manipulation 101. Social media agreed, with comments flooding in that the video was sickening and fake. When that backfired, she tried again, posting a long Instagram message directed at Coleman. My apologies should be just as loud as my actions. To Christian, I love you and I'm sorry. But by then, the narrative had shifted. Nobody was interested in another apology. Instead, people were demanding consequences, some even calling for her removal from competition altogether. And that's where things got interesting. Her sponsors, Nike, Sprite, and even luxury fashion brands, suddenly went quiet. No public defenses, no press releases, no statements of support. just silence. And in the world of corporate endorsements, silence usually means one thing: damage control. PR teams, managers, and lawyers were likely in meetings behind closed doors, reviewing contracts and weighing the risks. Was Sha'Carri still marketable? The Olympic Committee stayed quiet too, which only fueled outrage. Fans called it a double standard, pointing out that if Coleman had been the aggressor, he would have been banned instantly. But because Sha'Carri was a fan favorite and a sponsor darling, she was being protected. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds, with people saying things like, if this was reversed, he'd never run again. Adding fuel to the fire was testimony from Sha'Carri's ex, John Brown. In a rare interview, John admitted their relationship had been toxic, mentally, verbally, and physically, on both sides. But what stuck with people wasn't just her words, it was her body language. She flinched when asked if she'd ever go back. Her voice shook as she described being threatened and sabotaged. And she made it clear she wasn't chasing clout. She only spoke up after Sha'Carri had painted her online as a crazy ex, flipping the narrative to make herself look like the victim. Janev's calm but pained delivery added credibility to her story, and fans began to see a disturbing pattern stretching across Sha'Carri's past relationships. By now, Sha'Carri's image was collapsing. Every apology rang hollow. Every post backfired, and every new voice that came forward chipped away at the fiery underdog persona she had built. Corey Holcomb kept the pressure on, replaying fan reactions, amplifying Coleman's family posts, and hammering home the same message. This is what happens when you protect the wrong one. The truth always leaks out. Coleman's family played a big role in this turning tide. His cousins and relatives began posting cryptic but powerful messages online. Love doesn't hurt like this, and protecting peace is better than protecting pride. Coming from his blood, these words carried more weight than anything Sha'Carri could post. And when Corey broadcasted them on his show, the internet exploded again. At that point, the storm wasn't just about one incident. It became a full-scale reckoning. Old clips resurfaced, teammates dropped subtle hints, former friends posted about protecting victims, and slowly, the public began piecing together what looked like a long history of toxic behavior. What really turned this scandal into something bigger than just Sha'Carri and Christian was the way the wider sports world began reacting. Fellow athletes, both in track and other sports, started posting cryptic quotes about wolves in sheep's clothing and protecting the real victims. Even one Olympic medalist dropped a line that said, "Fame doesn't change people, it just exposes who they really are." Fans didn't need names to know who they were talking about. The dots connected themselves, and the implication was clear. Insiders were done protecting Sha'Carri. The online backlash grew into a storm. On TikTok, edits of the airport footage spliced next to her smiling apology video went viral with captions like, "The mask always falls off." Twitter threads broke down her history with both Coleman and Janeve Brown, showing receipts that made her repeated victim narratives crumble. Comment sections became war zones, with one side saying she needed help and the other demanding she be banned permanently. That division only amplified the noise. And in YouTube commentary, noise equals views. Meanwhile, brand silence started to feel like an answer in itself. The longer Nike and Sprite stayed quiet, the louder the speculation grew that lawyers were reviewing contracts behind closed doors. And when big companies don't defend their athlete, fans interpret it as abandonment. Rumors began swirling that some of her endorsement deals were already on ice, that meetings had been canceled, and that public relations firms were recommending distance until the chaos died down. For someone whose brand was built on being a defiant underdog who beat the odds, that silence cut deep. Behind the scenes, sources claimed Sha'Carri was spiraling. Rants in private, blaming friends, accusing Corey Holcomb of launching a smear campaign, and even threatening to sue him. But lawsuits need evidence, and Corey's entire defense was that he was just repeating what the public had already seen. If anything, the more she threatened, the more people tuned in. F. For Corey, this was gasoline on the fire. His podcast views skyrocketed, and every new episode about Sha'Carri only dug the knife in deeper. And now the biggest question remains: what happens next? Can Sha'Carri Richardson's career survive the weight of these receipts, this footage, and the testimonies piling up? Or has her entire empire, from sponsorships to Olympic dreams, been built on a mask that's finally slipping? Because one thing's for sure, the track is unforgiving and the public even more so. Once trust is broken, it's nearly impossible to earn back. And right now, Sha'Carri isn't racing against opponents. She's racing against the truth, and that's a sprint nobody has ever won. The breaking point came when Christian Coleman went silent. No more interviews, no more statements, no more defending her. The last sighting of him was boarding a quiet flight overseas. His silence was deafening. Fans interpreted it as a final break, that even he had finally reached his limit. And that left Sha'Carri isolated. Her sponsors were silent, her apologies were mocked, her family narrative was falling apart, and Corey Holcomb was still on her neck week after week. With Christian gone and the voices of her past relationships resurfacing, the mask was off. The fiery underdog who once symbolized resilience now stood accused of manipulation, abuse, and dishonesty. As Corey said, the truth always leaks out, no matter how many cameras, sponsors, or smiles you hide behind. And that's the reality Sha'Carri Richardson faces today. The world isn't asking about her speed anymore. They're asking whether her career, her endorsements, and her legacy can survive the truth.